Hello everyone, this is Tina from Tina's Workshop, coming to you from outside again. Of course, as soon as I started doing this, I can hear tree trimmers and stuff like that, so I apologize for any extra noise. And I don't really even know if I'm going to end up with this video uploaded or not. We'll see what people think of the ones I've been doing on dyeing, but I wanted to include this one because I'm going to do a bit of experimenting. I went over and picked some pokeberries, and pokeberries are supposed to make a very vibrant dye, but there's a lot of mixed information on whether doing them, cold dyeing them or hot dyeing them, and losing color when you hot dye. But if you cold dye, you can lose color when you're they're not as light fast and stuff like that. So not really sure exactly what's going to happen, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a couple different pots, different methods, and see. And I think I've heard even about using the stems, so we're going to do 3 total dye baths, and one is going to be cold, one's going to be hot, and the third is going to be just the stems. And there is a lot of thing about pokeberries being poisonous and stuff, and I have seen a lot of different things about that, but from what I understand, eating too many of the berries can make you have an upset stomach, but it's the seed inside the berry that's actually poisonous. If you bite down and break that seed, that's where the poison is inside there. And I noticed last year when I went to harvest, I could hardly find any pokeberries because the animals had been eating them all. And then there was all the, they I don't know if they sucked the seeds, the fruit off or what, but there was these mounds of the skin with the seeds. So the animals are eating it. There's supposed to even be some health benefits to having them in moderation. So I don't know, but as far as getting it on your skin, it really shouldn't have any effect. However, I am going to use gloves because I have watched people's hands be extremely pink from the dye. So I am going to put gloves on while I'm doing this, and we're going to see what's going to happen. So come along for my journey and welcome to my imagination. I need an empty pan or a pot, which I don't have with the fact that I'm using all 3 of my containers right now. And because I need to be able to run the fruit through here and get all those little pieces out, because there's lots of little pieces that are down in there. You can see all the little seeds and stuff, but there's a lot of little things in there. So what I think I'm going to do for the first one is I think I'm going to use this pan and pull out the stems, because that'll be really easy, and then there shouldn't be a whole lot of extra in there. And then I'll put my wool into the mesh net and put it in there so that I don't get all the whatever little pieces are in there into it. Then once I've done this one, then I can use this to pour the other into, and I'll have that extra pot that I need. So I think that's how I'm going to do this. So this has got, the color is not as pink as the cold one is. It's got a little bit more of a red color. But these do have less color in them than when I put them in, so it'll be interesting to see how that one comes out. Okay, so I left the stems on low for an hour, the dye bath, and this is the color I ended up with from that. And oh, I can reach it. So here's the original color. So we got a kind of a yellowy color. Not at all what I was expecting. So that is our stems. And now I am moving on to the hot one of the berries. And so I've sieved this, and you can see all those seeds. That's where the poison comes in. But it's also if we want to plant berries so that we can make more dye if this comes out really good. So let me move this over. So this is our dye pot then that's going to be hot, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with the stems and put it on low for an hour with the fiber in it. And I've been doing, which I will probably end up mentioning at some point in the video when I voice over, but I've been doing a ½ ounce of fiber in each one of these to get just a general idea of what the different methods will do. So this will be interesting to see. I just put it in, and if it comes out anything like that, that'll be amazing, but we'll see. Got it on low, and we'll let it cook for an hour, and then I'm going to strain this one. That's the cold bath. This just going to pour it right through here like I did with that, and we're going to let that cook, or not cook, but sit. And I think I'm going to let it set at least overnight, and I'll probably, when I shut the other one off, just let it sit in there overnight too. It is now afternoon of the next day, because by the time this finished last night, it was dark out here, and then I had appointments today, so it has gotten to sit for quite a while. So we are going to see what it did. So this was the cold one. Oh, it's pretty, but we got to rinse it. Might not stay like that. And this was the hot one, which is a bit lighter. So I am going to put some water in there and pull it out and see what we ended up with. Okay, so not at all what I expected. So this was the stems, this was the hot, and this was the cold. So I've heard some people talk about using vinegar and citric acid, and I'm wondering if I go and add that to the pot, if I can get any different results, but definitely not the results that I was expecting to get at all, especially when you saw how dark that was when I just lifted it. So I might add some in and try again and see what happens. Okay, I added vinegar. Instead of 4-to-1 ratio, I did not measure, I just kind of guessed at it. So I added vinegar to both pots and then added more wool. And we're going to do both again, the hot and the cold, see what happens. This wool does not have alum. One, I need to prepare some more with alum, so I didn't have any ready, but also the vinegar is supposedly supposed to be a fixative without having to have the mordant in it. So we're going to try that and see what happens. So round two, this is the cold dye bath. So round two, this is the cold dye bath. And I did see somebody who said that they take it out and then let it dry and then rinse it. And so I'm wondering what that would do. So I might do that with this one. That's the color that I want it to be. But here, let's take this little one and rinse it and see what it does. Kept some of it, but not as much. So I think I'll let this dry and then rinse it and see what happens. And we can compare it. And me, who wasn't going to get it all over my hands, now has it all over my hands. So there's the rinsed piece. So we'll lay that one out to dry, and then we'll do the other and let it dry and then rinse it. Let's see with the hot one, which still wasn't super hot. It was just, I just kept it on a warm simmer. The color is a very different color. Look at that. Okay, I think I'm going to take a little piece off of this one and do the same thing and see what it does. That one's retaining the color a little bit better. Maybe I'll go ahead and rinse it and dry it. Okay, big difference this time. I guess the vinegar really does make a difference. Okay, so we'll put that out to dry with the rest of them. These ones are already dry, but I'm just leaving it all out here together. And then I'll rinse that one after I let it dry. Then I'll rinse it and then set it out here. Big differences between the different methods. And here's the other one. So that one's sitting and drying. I do see why they use vinegar. It didn't stay on my hands before without the vinegar, so it rinsed right off. But okay. Well, we'll check back in a little bit. And drying. I do see why they use vinegar. It didn't stay on my hands before without the vinegar, so it rinsed right off. But okay, so it's another day, and I have the fibers all dyed to the extent that I'm going to dye them, and we have all my finished fibers here. So I'm going to show you what happened and my thoughts on it. Well, let me put you down and then we'll just get into it. So I hope these colors come up okay. Okay, so this is my little scale. So this one here was the one we did with the stems. So this was stems, and the fiber had been mortared with alum. And this is, okay, so this is the fiber ahead of time. That's the original color, okay? So here's the one that was done with the stems. It's got a little bit of yellow here, and that's about it. Okay, so then this one was done with the berries, and it was done cold and has the alum mordant. And it has a little bit of a pink here, and that's about it. And then this one's done, has the alum mordant, and it was done hot, not too hot. You know, I got it really good and warm, but without boiling it because I didn't want to lose color. So alum mordant, and it's got a little bit of a peachy color. I might need to show it to you on a larger scale on some of these. Okay, so this one was done with no alum, but with vinegar, and it was done cold, and I only left it in as long as I had left the hot in. So I took it out after a short amount of time, and I think that's what I had done. I can't really remember. I waited too long to do this follow-up. So that's what that one came out. But then this one, I had left in it overnight. So they're almost the same. So this was just the berries with vinegar and only about an hour and left overnight. And then this one was hot with the berries and vinegar, but no alum. And I actually, this is what I was looking for, was more of this pink, but personal preference, I like this color. But I've heard of people ending up with brown when they've cooked it too long or too hot. So that's why I tried not to cook it too hot. So let's see. We'll go back to the beginning here. Those little samples I'm going to spin. And we can see how they look spinned up. But here's that more yellow from the stems. So now you can see a bit more of how yellow it is, I'm hoping. In my camera, it looks nice like the color, and in my computer, not so much. So hopefully it's coming across good. So this was, and I'm really curious as to how this would have looked if I'd done it with the vinegar. But I only had 2 pans, and I was going back and forth. So after I did this one, I poured it out so I could utilize the pan. So I didn't get that aspect of it, but it was just a little yellow. And then this is the berries that were done in the cold. And what you couldn't see on that little sample, and I'm hoping you'll see here, is there's little bits of green. See that green? So we got little bits of pink and little bits of green. I'm not really positive exactly why that happened, but that's the way that one came out. And then this was the hot one that I did with the alum. So you can see that kind of peachy color. And then these are with the vinegar. So this is the cold with the vinegar with just the berries. And this one is the hot one with just the berries and the vinegar. So I really kind of like this red color. So let's see how they spin up our little samples here and what they'll look like after they're spun. So if you watched my video, it's about a month or so ago now, and my husband was wood turning recycled plastic into a drop spindle. That's this guy, and he has become my sample spindle. I use him all the time when I spin up my little samples. So let's see what we get. This is our this one is the stems. So basically I just take my little sample, I spin it up, apply it back on itself, and that's what ends up going into my my book. Provided I get it to stay on the spindle. Guess I didn't have enough twist in that. Okay. Okay, so a nice long piece. I just pull it off of there. Yep. Catch it back on the hook so that I double it. And then I just pull it off of that hook. And let it spin together. So that's how I do my little samples. And then I just make like a little back and forth bow, basically, in a sense. And there is our little sample of that one. So I'm going to spin up the rest of them and show you how they look. Okay, now I will say something I noticed as I spun the ones with alum. They feel like they stick, like they're sticky almost, where the ones with the vinegar, they draft really nicely like this. It drafts nice, but the alum, it just had a very, let's see if I can show you with this one. It's very sticky like. You see how hard this is? So you can see it just, I mean, I'm not holding it tight over here. I'm just holding it. But you can see it's just really hard to pull. And this was scoured. It's the same wool, and it's scoured at the same time as this one. And this one, you can see how easily it separates. Well, okay. Anyway, so I don't know if it's the alum. I don't know if it's the alum and the pokeberry together or something. I have noticed it in some of my others, but it seemed like this was much stickier in a sense than it had been previously in my other batches of things I've done. Okay, here, let's check. This one I did recently with chrysanthemum leaves, not the flowers, but the leaf. And this has alum. So let's see. Which, obviously I haven't carded it yet, but it doesn't have that sticky feel. It's not sticky feeling at all. So I'm thinking it might have something to do with the pokeberry. maybe with the combination of the alum, because I did not have the issue in the vinegar ones, just in the alum ones. So maybe it is that combo. And I didn't do the alum mordant on these, honestly, because I had run out of stuff that I already had mordanted, and I didn't want to take the time to mordant more, so I just did the vinegar with it without the mordant, where this had the mordant. So um, that is what I figured out with my little foray into pokeberries. I honestly don't know if it's something I would do more. It's very messy. Um, I it's a lot more work in a sense and mess than a lot of the other ones I use. Plus, you have to be careful with those seeds. And where I have pets, I don't know whether it would hurt them because I do know animals will eat them, but I don't want to take the chance of my animals eating them. So I'm really, really careful with it. And so that's just a lot more hassle I'm going through to make sure that they're not getting into any of it. So I've done it, but I can't say that it will be something I do again. Hopefully I can find some other things that I can come up with some of these colors. If there's something that I'm specifically wanting that color sometime, maybe I will attempt it again. I'm not really sure. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helps you a little bit on if you decide to try pokeberry. Um, and if you like this, give me a thumbs up. If you would like to see more, subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified when I upload videos, then hit that notification button. And we'll see you all again soon. Bye.